welcome back once again to the Windsor Scene, your look at the musical footprint, past, present, and impending future of the Windsor original music scene. This time we have a feature-length interview with two gentlemen from a band that is making a triumphant return. I think it's 7 or 8 years since their last show. It is their 20th anniversary, 10th anniversary of their last album. I'm speaking about What Seas, What Shores.
This episode's a fun one. Oh my God, this was so exciting to go back to, 20 years ago when these guys first came around. And that was kind of when I was first introduced to the downtown music scene working at the fish market. And I brought back to so many amazing memories of shows that these guys have played. If you ever caught one of their shows, you know that they're not your average band. Their music is unpredictable, it's experimental, and it takes you places you didn't expect to go. And it's just a wild ride from front to back, and I'm happy to see that they're still making things weird for us and coming back 20 years later with I guess a reunion show of sorts. Hopefully it's not the only one because it is sold out, I hear.
Yes,
Damn.
good. Yeah, it's a real testament. It's tough for a lot of bands to come back from the pandemic and before that because they haven't played for about I think they remember if, I forget if it was is that 7 or 8 years. Um, so that was pre-pandemic, and sometimes you're not sure if people remember who you are, but it's a real testament to their staying power and their impact on the scene that they sold out. So kudos to them.
Sucks I'm just learning about this show now and this band, and it's already sold out, but I'm sure it's going to be a great time.
Oh,
And
like
for
I said, going back 20 years ago and the shows that they've played, the energy in the room, the whole vibe, it's weird in such a welcoming way. Like it's math rock, it's experimental. The soundscapes are all over the place and they're constantly evolving. The way they bring these sounds to the stage, it's like nothing I've ever experienced. I don't know, it's really cool.
and for
Now I'm even
those
more pissed.
and for those who have never seen What Sees What Shores before, one of their unique features is they have no vocalist.
What?
So they're all entirely instrumental, which they just take you on a dream ride. And I suppose I should mention that I also have beside me Randy Irving.
Yes, that's me, though. I've been talking on the other side here. Uh, thanks, Jamie.
No
Mike's
problem.
over here. Mike's here as well. I keep cutting him off.
Swiss Army Mike. Yeah, we both we keep stepping on each other's toes, but well, it's been a while since we've been in the same room together. So
Indeed.
so we're fumbling over each other.
Yeah. Howdy, guys. I'm the man with the creative plan, Swiss Army Mike. That would be Jamie Greer, your future Windsor Hall of Famer. Next to him is Randy Irving, the Windsor Scene CJM OG.
Without further ado, we had a chance to sit down with Martin Schiller and Colin Wysman, two of the four members of What Seas, What Shores, and we caught up with and just talked all about their history, what they've been up to, and what to expect this coming September 13th at Meteor.
Here it is.
What sees what shores on
The
the
Windsor
Windsor
Scene.
Scene.
All right, well, welcome back to the Windsor scene. Randy's a bit under the weather, but she'll join us as she's able. But we are joined by Martin and Colin from What Seas, What Shores. And unless you've been living under what gray rocks and what islands, you wouldn't know that What Seas, What Shores are coming back for their 20th anniversary show. First time in a long time. Also the 10th anniversary of Spiritual Net Machines. So welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome, boys. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Great to see you guys.
So what was it? Was it as simple as just it being the 20th anniversary, or was there other reasons why now?
I kind of feel like it was as simple as it being the 20th anniversary. It's been a while since we've all kind of gotten together, and we were chatting in separate configurations, and we're like, oh man, it's been 20 years, and it's been about 7 years since our last show, or something like that. Like, maybe we should do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were. Someone suggested, what if we got together and did a show? I feel like I remember kind of before we had the date locked in, when we got the date locked in for September, I looked online and said, oh, it's actually 10 years since the last album came out. And maybe we had the 20-year thing kind of in the back of our head first, but.
So can we expect to hear all 20-year-old material, or do we have anything new that is to be anticipated? Or is that something you gotta kind of show up to find out?
Well, I'll say we're definitely playing stuff off of the last album, which came out 10 years ago. I think actually the first album, I don't know if we're doing anything from the very first album, which is kind of, I think, out of circulation, so to speak. There might only be CDRs available.
I don't even have a copy of it. I don't even know
CDR.
Pardon me.
But in terms of Threnodies, Cordyceps, Spiritual Net Machine, I think we're trying to cover a broad span of material.
getting back to jam for this didn't lead to any new material. We're not going to hear like a brand new track.
Well, we're not going to be doing any new material for the new show. I think the last performance or the last couple of shows that we did, maybe whatever that was, 2017, we started working on some new tunes, and I think we did play them a couple times. But I think those are a bit more in development, so to speak. So we don't have anything quite brand new to serve up. But I feel like the arrangements that we've got, the set that we planned, there's a couple little surprises in there, which will be fun, and it covers a lot of ground, I think. So,
Nice.
Certainly new arrangements for some old songs.
Nice, very cool. So, for those that don't know you, let's do a little bit of history here. So, you guys, this is the 20-year anniversary. So, 2005, you guys got together. This wasn't all your first projects, was it?
No.
Or was it?
I wasn't actually in the band at the very beginning, so I think that's an interesting point. Is where the four, or actually, Josh Saint Denis played bass, and Kyle and Colin on guitars, and then Kevin Romaine and Caleb Ferrugia. They were playing
that's
drums
right.
and synth, or maybe Colin, you have a bit more details to flesh out in the first months and year or so.
Yeah, so this kind of came about. We all kind of shared a practice space that originally was in the old Walker Power Building on Devonshire and Riverside Drive, and then that shifted to an old space on Droulard, and we were invited to play a show at Milk. I think it was maybe someone in Kevin's circle invited him to put together some sort of improv project for this like kind of one-off event, and it was Caleb and Kevin and I were kind of just trying to throw together some soundscapey set, and I think Kyle just kind of walked in one day to the space and we're like, hey, jump in on this, and I don't know if Josh was part of that first show. That might have been just that four-piece. I can't really remember.
No bass player.
For some reason, I feel like we didn't, but
No safety net.
yeah.
Where was your first show?
It was at Milk. I think the event was called Smog Fest.
I think I remember
Yeah,
that.
I remember that.
Yeah, so that was it was kind of meant to just be a kind of a one-off improv set. It was really well received, and it kind of motivated us to keep at it.
And then, Martin, when did you join?
I'm gonna say it was 2006, probably. The bassist who was playing with them ended up moving away from Windsor, and I've been kind of hovering around the whole scene anyway, and liked what they were doing. But I was doing my own thing, which was a lot of experimental, a little noisier experimental stuff project, and so I just stepped in. Yeah, probably 2006. I don't remember the exact point, but
And we had been playing shows together for a while at that point. Like it was often that you'd see like 87 Things and What's kind of in the same kind of room.
yeah, we actually we played a show together. I had my solo project called 87 Things for the Future, and it was very abstract and improvised and electronic stuff. We both played at What's, and that project played at Dr. Disc, the old Dr. Disc location on Willette.
I love the old location.
It was a big room.
Yeah.
But that was really cool. They were, open to doing shows there, and it's kind of a different space. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Back when the Windsor scene was on CJAM, I used to use 87 Things for the Future as my track to go for a smoke break. Because there were just these really long, like, instrumental pieces. I was like, okay, this gives me enough time. I can maybe go run to the bar, grab a shot, have a... Excuse me, have a quick smoke and get back to the show in time. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I did that for all the smokers out there.
Yeah.
Smoking DJs. Yeah.
Now, Martin? Is it you that has the connection to Bloemfontein?
Yeah, actually, that my brother, I have three older brothers. My brother Eric played guitar in this group, Bloemfontein, which was it's named after a city in South Africa, I believe. It was instrumental stuff. It was very post-rock of the sort of late 90s, early 2000s. Really long tunes, kind of repetitive, minimal things. So
I used to love getting baked and just going to their shows.
Yeah, they did some nice performances. They put some visuals on, and just kind of and I think they were kind of really going for a lot of that like Spacemen 3 kind of thing.
Yeah.
On noisy guitars.
It was a vibe being there. That was one of the things that really initially drew me to you guys, not the family connection, but your shows were a lot of the same kind of vibe. I think it's the obvious not having the arrogant lead singer in the front, says the arrogant front man. That you just get drawn in a lot more. Was it a conscious decision from the start not to have a singer, or was it just one of those things where no melodies came and then you just never had a singer?
I think it was a conscious decision at the start because uh, the project started as more of like an ambient soundscapey thing, and I mean,
Mm.
uh, over the years we've kind of tightened up the songwriting a little bit, but in the early days it was very, very ambient, and
Mm.
it wasn't the kind of thing that we even considered having a singer for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like no vocals is completely sacred for you guys.
Well, I mean, I think we all enjoy, music with vocals, and I just think that the project, if it starts out one way, I don't know that you want to introduce vocals partway through, but I guess other bands have done that kind of thing.
And, Do Make Say Think did that, and
Yeah.
I like those albums, but I don't know if I could see us doing that.
Yeah, it hasn't occurred to us to do the
I think
get a front man.
but yeah, at this point it would be weird.
Yeah.
Like I think the
Yeah.
closest you guys could come would be like if you teamed up with like a local poet and
Did a collaboration.
they did some of their poetry over some of your music or something. Like
That's
Yeah,
an idea.
like the soundscapes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think somebody some years ago suggested we try and do something with like a different vocalists, and I don't know. Yeah, maybe some cover songs or something. We could get a guest
Yeah.
vocalist, but I don't know. Yeah.
do you have any secret words or melodies like that you jokingly have for sections of songs that when you're practice, like maybe one of you heard a silly line and now it's an inside joke?
I think that's a great question, and I think that's the kind of thing that does happen in bands. But I don't think we've got different names, different titles for our
Fair
songs,
enough.
so it's like an inside code word for this thing. It just wouldn't. Yeah. Do we have anything else like that? Colin?
I can't think of any like secret lyrics or anything like that. But,
No.
but
But
the secret song titles are funny though. It's often if it's in a very strange time signature, it'll just be the number of whatever that time signature is,
Nice.
or sometimes it'll just be kind of whatever the overall aesthetic of the song sounds to us, and then other times it's just a weird pun or something like that.
There's an evolution to them too. So sometimes it'll be the way things are written on a set list, and then it'll look weird, and then that becomes the new inside joke.
Yeah, there've been an occasional set list where someone will write it out and I'll be like, "What the hell song is that? I don't know what that is." And they're like, "Oh, it's the one that you call this whatever."
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of like the evolution, how does the songwriting work in What Seas What Shores? It sounds like it would be highly collaborative rather than just one person shows up, I would imagine.
Yeah, oftentimes someone will bring like a kernel of an idea to the table, and we will sit down and kind of riff on it and improv for a long period of time. Then afterwards, chat like, "Oh, what worked, what didn't," and then kind of develop from there. But it is a pretty collaborative environment. It's like it's pretty rare that someone will bring like a fully fleshed out song to the table.
I think that occasionally, maybe something's like mostly fleshed out in terms of like what the progression is, but if it's say just one guitar playing or just a bass line, like all the other stuff getting put onto it changes it so much. So yeah.
That's one of the amazing things that I found listening to it, like listening to What Seas, What Shores, even with a headphone, is that it's almost like a choose your own adventure that you can almost like start a song and just listen to one instrument for that whole song, and then it's like, oh, wait, I'm gonna listen to what the bass is playing this whole song now.
I like that.
Like it's all different stories that are all telling the same story or getting the same ending, but there's some very beautiful side stories going on sometimes that it's like, oh man. So you can listen to it multiple times. It again,
Thank you.
it's you guys are storytellers without words.
What I love is you guys can not just create this layered sound like that, but recreating it live.
Hmm.
Like it's not like you're using all these wizardry tricks to make this, like Jamie's saying, like these multi-adventurous songs. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh my God. I just totally spaced.
No worries.
Oh, like
That's all right.
It's like you're going on an adventure with all the
yeah. So okay. So that's what I'm getting at. You have these songs that you create, but then you see you guys perform live, and you're able to capture that complete essence. Like
I think that has to do.
I don't know. There's not really a question there. I guess it's just a compliment.
Well, thank you. I do think we do. There's a little bit of stuff on the recordings that aren't exactly in the live arrangements. So, for example, there might be like an acoustic guitar on the recording where there will be an electric guitar live.
Okay.
But yeah,
No,
but I think I appreciate the compliment. I think we do strive to kind of make it. I think maybe going back, tying in with what Jamie was asking about the evolution. I don't know if we consciously did this, but the material was kind of written to be played live, and we didn't do a lot of stuff that was like too much, stuff we can't pull off live. If we're going to make it part of the composition, then I think we want to be able to do.
So even when we have recorded these albums, right? Like we will kind of do our best to do as much of it live off the floor as possible, right? So the core of the songs is just kind of like a recreation of what the live experience is, and then we'll tie in a few treats here and there, acoustic guitar, a little bit of a piano somewhere. But like we try to focus. We've tried to focus, especially with Spiritual Nat Machine, on getting it recorded as a live kind of session.
Now, is there any like specific gear or instrument that's essential to your sound?
I think for me, there are some effects I would say that kind of help, but they're nothing crazy, like just a little bit of extra distortion or overdrive and a little bit of reverb and delay. Those things are nice little treats to mix in, but yeah, that's about it for me.
Yeah, a good fuzz pedal and good reverb delay.
Okay, now what about the environment? Like you were saying, you're recording off the floor. Like for example, you guys recorded an EP on Peely Island. How does that sound differ from doing it in a recording studio? Do you think that brings just like a different element, just through the vibes that you guys are feeling in the energy in the room, or is it something that you can physically hear?
Well, I think that's an interesting one because that Cordyceps EP, where we recorded a couple tunes in this cottage on Peely Island, we did do, we set up in the living room, and there was a bit of a sound to that, so that becomes its kind of colors the sound a little bit. But there was definitely some tree frogs at night and some crickets that they were just so intense that we had to record them and incorporate that into that. So in between those two tracks, you do hear a segment where the tree frogs kind of come in, and I mean that's an old standby move with post rock instrumental stuff to kind of get some field recordings and some ambience in there. So I think in that case, definitely with Spiritual Gnat Machine, I don't know, Colin. I think you and Kyle wrote a couple tunes, not so much tunes, but there was a little bit of stuff in between those.
Yeah, because that record was, I think, 5 or 6 like fully long, kind of fleshed out songs, and then we went in and did a couple of tracks, just kind of improv with no plans at all, and that was just kind of whoever was there in the moment. Were you not there for one of them? I could have sworn that you were there for one of them.
Oh, I think it was there for one of them, but maybe I came in overdubbed. So I guess but I think that it just felt like the recording needed some space, a little bit of breather from the tunes that had gotten a bit more, maybe more rhythmic and aggressive from the previous album. So
yeah, there's some heavier songs on that.
Yeah, I don't know if this is answering the question directly, but I guess that the tree frog and ambient stuff kind of reminded me of those two tracks on Spiritual Gnat Machine, which are a bit more.
And speaking of doing the music to play live, you guys played live quite a bit and toured around a bit, and even made it to Japan.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taiwan and Japan. We just kind of I don't know. The stories kind of goes like we started playing out of town. We would play and we met some friends early on in the early days of the band that were from Owen Sound. So Josh Richardson, actually, he ended up, helping us put out Spiritual Nat Machine on Mudtown Records. So shout out to Josh.
We met him. That was our first show in London, I believe, right? It was with his band.
Right. Yeah. So we were started playing out of our hometown a bit, and we met other people doing the same thing. For whatever reason, we became fast friends. But through that show and that connection of playing a show in Owen Sound, Ontario, there was a fella at that show who had been living in Taiwan and was kind of like suggesting, hey, maybe you should consider this opportunity. So it was an interesting thing. It led to us playing at a music festival in the spring in Taiwan, and also playing with a band that was from Tokyo, Japan. Their name is Shuhari. And they played the festival, and we also went to Tokyo and played some shows with them. And that was a wild experience. And then I think a year and a half later or something like that, Shuhari came to Canada, and they played a handful of shows in Ontario, and I think maybe in Quebec too.
They played a few shows in Quebec. We played a few in Southern Ontario with them. But they did another leg, Northeastern Ontario.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're still kind of in touch. I mean, it's a long ways, but with social media, we still kind of get to keep tabs on each other. So those guys, they're starting to play again too, which is kind of fun to see.
Yeah, they're making great music, that band.
Yeah.
So what was the audience reaction like in Japan, Taiwan? Did you find it similar to North America?
It was incredibly enthusiastic. I think maybe owing to the fact that we don't have vocals, there's not like any kind of language barrier in the music.
Mm-hmm.
It's but yeah, I feel like it was quite well received.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think also a lot of the bands we were playing around had similar aesthetic. We weren't the only post-rock band. I guess that's kind of helps, and there were some ambient acts and some really kind of cool instrumental things going on there. So, we had a lot of, yeah. I think maybe we're a little bit of novelty too, being all the way from Canada. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Right on. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Any cool road stories you can tell us?
Let me think about this. Stories. We had some good times at a capsule hotel in Tokyo, which is like, it's one of those places that you have like a little ladder you climb up into a hole.
Oh
you
yeah.
Sleep there. And they had a rooftop bar, or not a rooftop bar. They had a rooftop, and there was
as most buildings do.
But there was a vending machine on there, and it vended alcohol, so you could just kind of serve yourself. But I don't know. It's not a very exciting story. I'm trying to think. I'm on the spot here. Colin,
did you throw a TV over the state over the?
No, nothing like that. You know what? A lot of good karaoke was done on that trip, though. For a band that doesn't have a singer, I think as soon as we had a night where we weren't playing a show, we were dying to get into a karaoke room.
Nice.
Yeah, the karaoke was fun. That's a good memory for sure.
I think Caleb sang a Cannibal Corpse song in one of those karaoke rooms.
Yeah, we went to a, what do they call, like an arcade, and played a bunch of Japanese video games, which was this kind of strange novelty as well.
It must have been wild, because aren't they like 10 years ahead of us when it comes to video games?
Oh yeah. There was just it was hard to take it all in to know what we were looking at, but just being there, I think, was just it's one of those things you can't really convey the experience by words. So I don't know. Think about if there's any other good stories.
I know our last night there, because Marty and Caleb, you guys had to fly back maybe like 2 or 3 nights before we did.
Yeah.
So our very last night, we had played some shows, and then we went out to Kyoto to just kind of have fun for a week, and then we came back to Tokyo. It was myself, Kyle, and then our friend Stu was joining us just to hang out. But I had sent a message to some of the bands or the members of Shihari, just kind of thanking them for for the experience, and was like, hey, if you want to grab a beer on this last night, we'd love to meet up. And they invited us out to a tiny little like private room in a bar where they invited everyone from all the bands that we had played with the whole time in
Nice.
Tokyo for like a little
Whoa.
going away thing. And it was a fun night. We wound up at a 24-hour batting cages, like BYOB batting cages place. So it was a pretty nice,
A
fun
proper
meeting.
send off. That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
so cool.
some of the younger people here might be not have heard what sees what shores. Like a lot of bands seem to stop after the pandemic. It seemed to kind of shut people down, shut bands down, and people kind of got on with their life. And when they came back, they didn't have room or time for their projects and so forth. Not saying that was what happened with you guys, but just one thing we've noticed with a lot of bands we've talked to that a lot of times it took a lot of energy to get back into it. But you guys have side projects or other projects. I want to say any projects are lesser than the other, but that people may be familiar with that are doing lots of things. Why don't we talk about those?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Colin and I can, speak for Kyle and Caleb a little bit, so they don't go unmentioned. But I mean, Kyle's, got cellos, the amazing, like, I don't know that they're very active, but that's definitely a project to look into, because as far as heavy music goes in Windsor, they were a great,
amazing
great time
absolutely.
He's also got some music he did under the title Secret Tweets, and that's a little bit less of the heavy stuff, but it's some good songwriting and playing in there too, which he
some of those songs also made their way into Brain Rust, a band in which I play bass as well.
Brain Rust is great. Caleb obviously plays in the James O.L. and the Villains. So, that's James O.L. He does music on his own, but usually when they would play live, it was with Caleb on drums. Mm-hmm. And he's played in other projects as well with different configurations. One was Diane Motel. Are there others?
Yeah.
He plays in Tire Swing Company as well.
That's
Steve's,
right.
So he does.
Yeah. Myself, I had a project, a pre-pandemic project called The Greedy Echoes, which is a bit more progressive jazz rock stuff. So it incorporated saxophone, violin. Actually, Stu played violin, who we mentioned earlier, who accompanied us to Tokyo, played arcade games with us. But Stu was on violin. Usually had Theodore Hogan on tenor sax. Megan Gallant on drums. And I had some other people in and out. So I'd sometimes have trumpet player, myself on bass, David Bergeron on guitar. Don't know if I'm forgetting anyone else, but so that was a bit more compositional focused and a bit more improv focused and a little bit more, a little bit more complicated, I guess, in terms of the arrangements.
And you're playing Detroit a lot now.
That's right. Yeah, I live in Detroit now with my wife, and we got 2 dogs. So since I got here, it's just been a slowly kind of acclimating myself to the Detroit area. I've got a new project with a fella that plays tenor sax, and we expanded that to a quartet. So that is called Game Park. And we're working on some material. It's a bit more free jazz mixed with kind of modal jazz stuff. So I'm still playing electric bass in that, and that's coming along. Doing a lot of side, improvising with other people too. So there might be some stuff coming out in the future for some little bit noisier projects. I make my own music too, just kind of stuff I recorded in my house during the pandemic. So got some stuff under my name as a solo artist.
Nice.
Colin's very busy with his
so I've got a band called Middle Sister. It started as a kind of like a folk rock project. It has since evolved to be less of a folk project. Don't really play the acoustic guitar as much anymore, so it's just more guitar solos, I suppose. But current lineup of that band, we've got Pat Power playing drums, excellent drummer. Dave Dubois from The Locust Have No King. He's our bass player. Stu Kennedy, who Marty's collaborated with as well, plays violin and guitar. And then Jeremy Coulter previously of Stereo Ghost Stellar, plays piano in this band. So we're fairly active still, working on a new record. So hopefully trying to get some recording done in the fall, winter.
Can't wait to hear that.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. You got quite a lineup right now. Holy cow. A lot of heavyweights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a talented group that I've found there.
Jeremy impresses me more every time I see him. I mean, he played in Big Daddy and the Mervs reunion shows too, and man, going from Stereo Goes Stellar to that kind of stuff is wild.
There's nothing that guy can't do.
Yeah, an absolute talent.
Mhm.
But we are back as What Sees What Shores, and the show is September 13th at Meteor. Is it just an evening or do you have any guests lined up? Or are you planning on any guests, or is it just going to be an evening with you guys?
We do have an opening band. Meander Green is the name of the
Oh, yes.
opening band. So they're another post-rock type band that is in Windsor area. And actually, for a while, it goes back a while, but they initially asked us if we would be interested in doing a show. And that was probably around the time we had kind of unofficially just slowed down and entered our, so to speak, hiatus period. So when we thought about booking the show, we reached out to them, and so they're still active too. So that's we
Nice,
finally linked that up because it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And Pat Petro is going to be DJing for the night. Pat's always been a fan and a friend of the band, and he'll be providing his special curation of music for the evening, which really makes a lot of difference in my experience.
It does. It does. It really helps set vibes and moods before the music starts. And you might not want Journey playing before you start.
It takes all kinds, but yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So, any other future plans for What Sees What Shores, or is it just get to this show first and then see what happens?
Yeah, it's pretty much get to the show. This has been the focus for a while. But I will say we're all feeling pretty enthusiastic about this. So, hopefully this will put a little bit of wind in our sails, and might find ourselves doing something else in the future.
Nice.
How was it getting back in the not in the studio, but like in the jam space together after so many years going by? Like, did muscle memory kick in, or did it feel like starting fresh?
I would say the first one felt pretty good, but I felt a little rusty personally. So yeah, we just kept going.
I think Kyle described it as being in a cover band of your own music, trying to like relearn the songs, but it came back pretty quickly.
Nice.
Right on.
Was that the first time you guys had all been together in the same room? I mean, you've probably all hung out individually and so forth, but as a full band, was it the first time you've been in the same room in a while?
First time we've been in the same band with instruments and jamming, sure, but I mean, we're all pretty close friends, so we've spent time together over the past few years during that hiatus.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Well, the show has sold out, so I guess you're out of luck if you're listening and go, "Wow, these guys are great! I can't wait to go check them out." But
yeah, I mean, little unexpected maybe from some of us, but really pleasant surprise that a lot of people wanted to get tickets, and we'll see. Maybe something down the line before the end of the year. We're not really sure if
maybe
we're going to do anything.
Do it Taylor Swift and announce a second show the next night.
Yeah,
never a bad idea.
We're definitely a lot of Swifties band.
Yeah.
So, where can listeners find your music otherwise? Where's the best way to connect with you guys?
it would be Bandcamp. What sees what shores bandcamp.com, and that's where you can check out all the music that we've got up. We recently put some stuff on streaming platforms. It's not on Spotify except for our first big CD, Trinities. That was done through someone else. They uploaded it to all the streaming services, so that we can't control that one. But yeah, we got it on Apple Music and other various streamers.
I think YouTube Music's got it too.
Yeah. So that would be the way to check us out. I mean, we don't really have a lot of other. We do have an Instagram page that we've recently revived for this, so you can also reach out to us there.
Nice.
The links.
Well, that was a lot of great stuff, guys. That was a nice little trip down memory lane and sharing us into the inside world of what sees what shores.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And thanks to Stu. You
Yeah.
know, he made quite the honorable mention throughout the episode. I figured we should give him one more shout out.
Hey, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good show. I think Stu might make an appearance. We'll see.
Well, now I gotta go.
It's about time we had a good Kennedy to talk about.
All right, Colin, Martin, thank you so much.
Thank
All
you,
right,
guys.
Thank you, guys.
For having us. All right. Take care.
That was Spiritual Nap Machine from the album of the same name that came out 10 years ago, What Seas, What Shores. We also heard throughout that entire interview, we heard the Nurse Shark, Czar Bomba, Gugelhupf, the Ibex, Pave the Oceans, Cordyceps, Rabunda, and Old Reliable started off all of that to give you an idea of the soundscapes that you'll be hearing on September 13th at Meteor for What Seas, What Shores 20th anniversary reunion show.
Does that mean they started in 2005?
Yeah.
Dang.
You know, it's always a blast talking to musicians who are carving their own lane and kind of doing things their own way. They've been holding it down in Windsor for a long time, and it's really cool to see how their sound keeps shifting, but still feels true to who they are as a band. I am so excited to see what's next with them because I don't think we've seen the last of them.
No, I really hope that this whets their appetite to keep going and pushing the boundaries more on what they've done. Like you said, the evolution of their sound, I'm sure it can only get bigger and better.
I agree.
Do you guys have tickets to the show already?
Yes.
I will be working, unfortunately.
What day is it? What day is it on?
September 13th.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Okay. Well, but that's also the same day as Youngblood playing at Caesars Windsor, which is a pretty big deal.
It
It's
is.
not local music, but it's.
I believe it's also the same day that Case of Joint's doing a big show at the DH.
I was just gonna say that, and I think that's what I'm gonna have tickets for. So at least we'll be represented throughout
it's
the
a
city.
great
And,
night.
that's funny because I work at Caesars, so I'll be at that show technically.
Technically,
So
yeah.
yeah. So there we
That's
go. We're
actually-
hitting all the bangers.
A big night of
Yeah.
music.
Trifecta.
Go out and try to find us. Maybe you'll win a
Yeah.
prize.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be. Jamie got some cool little miniature stickers. Maybe we can
Yes.
start handing them out.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you
They
find
fit
us.
perfectly on lighters.
they do.
If you find me and I have stickers and you ask for one and I have them, you will get one. Come find me.
So we'd like to thank Martin and Colin for stopping by to chat with us. It was great to catch up with What Seas, What Shores. And you can see them along with Kyle Marchand and Caleb Ferrugia. The whole unit,
Oh, a dream team, baby.
Dream Team, indeed. They'll be playing September 13th at Meteor. And you can go back and listen to our previous chat with Case the Joint, who are playing the same night at the DH. Big night of music. And we'll see you again shortly for more information, music, thoughts, sounds, smells.
With Windsor, the smells of Windsor. I don't think we can convey those through the podcast, but if we could, boy, let me tell you what.
You would know what that Windsor hum was.
Yeah.
Bing bong.
Thanks to all of you for listening. If you didn't get tickets to the What Seas, What Shores show, just put this episode on repeat.
Yeah, or get tickets to Case the Joint.
Yeah, do that. All right. We will talk to you next time on the Windsor Scene.
The podcast.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Holy